Right. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing? How's things? How's life? How's yours? How has your week been? Um, I apologize for, well, touching my eyes a lot, touching my nose a lot. I'm not well. When aren't I? Well, so yeah. How's everybody doing? How's things? I think that was just a notification. It was wonderful. Yeah. How is everybody? Why is my Twitch chat window so small? Let me move that. There we go. Nice. Hello. Hello, Chris. How you doing, man? How's things? Hello, Tech Video Maker. Indeed. It is I, the Tech Video Maker. How we doing? How's things? Put my phone on silent so I stop getting buzzed. Strawberry Kitten, do I use the Linux? Um, on my main PC, no. On my Linux specific machine, yes. I did a video not too long ago, sort of middle of January, talking about my experience using um, what's it called? Bazite. That's the one. For a couple of months. And trying to write some software for Linux and stuff. So a bit, but not very much. On and off. Um, if I was if I was sort of forced to choose between Linux and Windows 11, I would choose Linux. Though happily, I'm still on 10 LTSC, so yeah. Quite tired. Played 5-a-side this evening. Fair enough. Nice. I'm a Linux user since 2007. Happy it finally is good for gaming. Nice. What distro do you use? Um, I mean, I have been using Linux on and off since at least 2012. That's when I really sort of first got into PCs, and I mean, I was 15, so um, yeah, I I was using Ubuntu. But I almost got kicked out of my college. Well, I almost got kicked out of my college because the back in 2014, 2015, um, the PCs that we had in the college were when I say uniquely dreadful, it wasn't unique at all. It was very standard. But there were the sort of like either thin clients that took most of a lesson to boot up and log into, or they were like really old, optiplexes and stuff that just had no right to still be in use, but it's British school, no money. Um, so uh, especially for like free periods where you just wanted to, I don't know, kick back and watch some YouTube or whatever, especially because in 2013, 14, um even if we had smartphones, the data plans just didn't really exist. And so, yeah, they I brought a Linux, like a bootable Ubuntu USB stick in, and I would just boot from Ubuntu. It would be infinitely faster, and funnily enough, it got around most of the college's like internet blocking sort of stuff because it was all like Windows firewall rules, which was stupid. But anyway, should really been DNS filtering. Anyway, um, yeah. I was using Ubuntu one day when the school's IT like manager happened to walk by and was like, "What's that?" I was like, Linux? I think I said like YouTube because that's what I was watching, and then he was like, "No, what are you using?" It's like, "Oh, Linux from my USB stick." And then he like pitched a fit, and I could not understand why. It was threatening me with like expulsion and or like revoking IT privileges, which is kind of a problem when you are taking computing and electronics as your like two main courses, and even business studies. Um, so yeah, it turns out that he pitched a fit because basically all of the school's security was like on client like firewall rules and like group admin stuff, not on like the servers. So apparently, if you had unrestricted access to the servers, aka you just booted from a USB stick into like Ubuntu or whatever, you had a worrying amount of access into the school servers and all their protected data. And apparently that was my problem. Luckily, I managed to talk my way around it. And because Jesus Christ, that was so stupid. How did they not, think about this? Not It's not even an attack vector. It was just I was trying to like make use of the time and in the school. Um, so yeah, that was how I almost got kicked out of my sixth form college for using Ubuntu because the computers were so shit. um, Started with Ubuntu, switched to Ubuntu Mate when GNOME 3 hit. Get now on Kubuntu. Love KDE. Nice. Um, I liked Ubuntu Mate, then switched to Debian Mate. Nice. Very similar. Um, well, Ubuntu is a Debian fork, or um, perhaps long ago, but still. Windows 11 must have killed so many Sandy Bridge Optiplex 320s and 710s. I know because I did it in the college I used to work at. Yeah. I mean, the amount of, like, essentially machines that became e-waste because of Windows 11 and their uh, technically arbitrary requirements of certain, like, having TPM and I can't remember what other feature, like virtualized security or something. Yeah, wild, wild. Hello Ish and hello Be Right. How you doing? How's things? Um, TPM RAM cores as well. Thank you, Ish. That does sound like a uniquely bad school IT policy, even for a school. Yeah, it was. Yeah, there was. I seem to remember. Uh, while we were dicking around on the school's intranet, and like internal site, we worked out that stuff like all of the student ID images were all stored sequentially with student numbers. So you just had to iterate through the folder and you could download every school student ID image, which I think one of us at some point did for the fun of it. Um, and like I think it was my friend who his like 5 or 10 year older brother had gone to the same college, so we found his profile picture or like his student ID picture from a decade before. Just scraping it, which is actually very similar to what Facebook did. Well, Zuckerberg and what's his face did for Face Smash. Um, just iterate through the folders. So yeah, yeah, they really didn't learn from anything because again, that was 2013, 2014. Yeah. I still use Fedora for historical reasons to do with corporate and Red Hat. Preferred Mate desktop than GNOME. Have switched to KDE Plasma, and that works better in the Wayland Epoch. Nice, fair enough. Um, Remind me what the default one for Baza is. Is that Mate? That's Mate, isn't it? No. Plasma? Hold on. Hold on. I think the default is KDE, isn't it? Yeah, but you can get it with GNOME. Yeah. Hello Stanislav. How you doing? How's things? 6th and 7th gen Intel being excluded from 11 makes zero sense. I agree. Um, it's wild and terrible. Um, yeah. I think it's because if I had a beard, it'd be grey. Mate and Plasma can be used more like Unix desktops I started with. Nice. Fair enough. I mean, we love a grey beard here. Um, their wisdom, you know, their many years of service and experience only improves us. So yeah, I'm fine with that. I got a package this morning. I've mentioned this before, but I am making a Zigbee CO2 sensor. And I have my own little it's just down there, but sadly out of reach. Little dev board one with a little microcontroller, and then a little dev board version of the CO2 temperature and humidity sensor. Um, that I've been using in here. It's great. I love it. It's Zigbee. I'm so happy about that. And so I thought, well, why don't I put that on a PCB? And then as I was designing the PCB, I was like, well, hold on a minute. Um, it's pretty common if you have a CO2 sensor to also have particulate matter, a PM 2.5, PM1, PM10 sensor. Although the standard versions of those are quite chunky and have a fan to blow air past the sensor so that it can measure the particulate count, and that's kind of annoying. It's big, bulky, it's potentially noisy and annoying. And it turns out that there's this new one from Bosch, called the BMV 080, uses a laser. It is more expensive than the fan ones, but it's so like compact and like accurate, and you don't need a fan. It just looks really wonderful. So what I did is I've designed the PCB with it's a little flexible circuit board, so you just plug it in. So I designed the PCB with that, so it will you can add it in or you can not have it if you don't want it. Um, and I got it today. It's that. Get it? Look, the size of my finger. It is so cute. Like that's the laser up there. Look at that. Oh, so tight. Like size of my finger. So it's so cute. Um. So yeah, I'll be using that one. Uh, at least on my development boards, I have 5 PCBs coming in the next couple of weeks. So I can put CO2 sensors all around my house. Uh, and if it goes well, I might make them available on osrtt.com if anyone's interested in a Zigbee CO2 temperature, humidity, and particulate matter sensor. So, yeah. Um, I'm not pleased about the prices on hardware, but aside from that, I'm alive. Fair enough, yeah. I checked DDR4 prices for the first time since November yesterday, was shocked. So that sensor alone is £25. So if I do end up making them available as a product, which like I need to design a case for them and stuff as well. But if I do end up making it available as a product, that sensor option will add at least £25 to the price. The CO2 sensor is £8 or £9, I think. Plus the temperature and humidity sensor, which is another couple of pounds. You then add an ESP32C6 for another £5 to £10. So just the materials cost alone is uh depending on sort of options like 20 to 50 quid. So the sort of sale price for it to be worth it for me will be, you know, at least 50 and up depending on your sort of option spec. I do also have the option on my PCBs to add a VOC, a volatile organic compound sensor. But that's another £10 per board, and that's one that I need to solder on. So that's a debate as to whether I end up including that or not. But yeah, I'm excited to get them available, and also not matter over thread. No, because individuals cannot make matter over thread devices. I can make Zigbee devices because the way that Zigbee devices connect to your network is just they broadcast on the appropriate frequency that they are an unpaired Zigbee device, that your coordinator does an interview with it, and then that's it, it's done. That device is on your network forever. The way that you pair Matter over Thread devices is you need the Matter QR code or the Matter connection code, and without the like test harness from the Connectivity Standards Alliance and OpenThread, which is $15,000 a year to get both of those before doing any testing or anything, there is no good way to connect Matter non-official Matter over Thread devices to your like smart home network. So this is the only way that I can make non-Wi-Fi smart home devices. But yeah, that's, and also Zigbee is still kind of more common and more popular. So yeah. Yeah. Hello Simon, how you doing, man? Also, hello Ryzen and hello John. John, how am I? Being dreadful. One of the worst weeks so far. I don't. Uh, I have been uh really bad. I think is the short answer. Both of my eyes exploded on Sunday, and this one is currently in the process of exploding. It hurts. The medication that I take to calm the ulcerative colitis, which stops me from, well, dehydrating and dying, I have become allergic to. It gives me horrendous headaches and brain fog to the point where I cannot function. So I've had to stop taking that, but that means that I'm dehydrated, which means that stuff like my eyes, which is recurring corneal abrasion syndrome, aka they get too dry, and then my eyelids start like rubbing on the top layer of my eye, and then it detaches, and it's a whole painful, very painful deal. Um, that is just more common right now, no matter how many prescription eye drops I put in. Um, I'm also now allergic to the like reliever part of my asthma inhaler. It gives me stomach ulcers, so um, that's real great. So basically, I have a steroid only inhaler now, which does somewhat function, but yeah, it's not great. I because of the mental changes from the like headaches and, well, intracranial hypertension, uh pressure in my head, um I have really not been feeling well mentally. Yeah, uh and there's probably more that I've already forgotten. Oh, I've been in extreme pain this whole time, this whole week. Especially my back. Like today I woke up screaming and my wife had to run and get tramadol for me because I couldn't stop screaming. Um, and it's just been bad all day. So I'm actually a little high's the wrong word because I'm down. Um, but yeah, I'm sort of high on opioids, which is I'm low on opioids. Um, yeah, that it. Think so. So yeah, really not well. Also, I have to have another camera test down my throat on Monday, um, which I'm not looking forward to. At least they'll give me fentanyl. Seriously, that's the like aesthetic or whatever. Um, yeah. Also, I faced AI bot, which was on the site where I'm looking for a job, and I hate it. It's not a helpful tool at all. Only made me angry. Oh, I 100% agree. It is. They are often uh, extremely poorly implemented, and more than infuriating. Ryzen spent 320 on my daughter's PC build now. Just bought the RAM today, 32 gigs of DDR4 for £82. Damn, that's great. GPU support drives and Windows key to go. Just use Massgrave. Um, what what's the Windows activation tool called that Microsoft themselves accidentally use sometimes? I've forgotten it. 120 gig is not great. And thanks, John. Yeah. Um, Maybe the NHS specialist and it was worth it. Yeah. What's the activation thing from Massgrave called though? It has a name, uh, and I just can't remember it. Hello, app. How you doing? How's things? It's been a while. Um, have you just not tried just not thinking about blown out eyes and pain everywhere? Every moment of every day ish. Um, I have an issue with my gag reflex. No matter how inappropriate or untimely it is, I am compelled to try and tell a joke, which may not even be funny. Nice. Yes, Microsoft Activation Service, thank you. Um, you're not bad. Wonderful. Good to hear it, Web. If you skip back a couple like 3 minutes, you'll hear just how bad I am. I mean, people with my medical conditions generally um don't make it that long in the grand scheme of things. Something will get me. Um, However, this week I was wishing for a sudden heart attack. I need to do the throat cam too. Get the sedation. Having done this will be my sixth one. Get the sedation. I have done three asleep and three awake, or will have done three asleep. Four asleep? Whatever. Yeah, get the sedation. It's a lot less uncomfortable. And also, be right. Jokes are welcome. Humor is what keeps us even remotely spirited. So go for it. Big week at work this week. Competitor hit with a cyber attack. Massive work to take all their customers. Nice. What's that slogan? Fortune favors the brave. Oh, oh. Dear. What else? Oh, I have a G-Sync pulsar display in. And for those who don't know what that is, it's adaptive sync with backlight strobing. I am doing a review of the monitor and a tech explained on what that is and means, and a bit more in-depth testing than I would normally do in the monitor review. So yeah, 25,000 new businesses for us. Nice. You mean instant nausea feature? Oh no, that for me it's instant migraine. Like horrendous migraine, yeah. I can't, like, I have struggled to film the monitor because with the backlight strobing mode on, I cannot sit in front of it for long. Like 5 or 10 minutes, and I need to be out of there for a bit. Yeah, it is a functionally horrible idea. Um, so it's not necessarily that the transition is less visible. Ha, you'll get that joke in a year or two. It's that our brains and eyes are stupid, and displays already take advantage of how stupid our brains and eyes are. So basically, our like displays that we see are called sample and hold displays because they sample the world, you know, the digital world, and then hold it in place until the next sample, aka frame, is ready to be displayed. What these backlight strobing modes do is they only flash the finished frame at you for about a millisecond before turning off again. The reason that that is theoretically better than a just displaying it and holding it is that as objects like move on your screen, your eyes track them kind of weird because your eyes sort of step rather than smoothly move, generally anyway. The if an object steps and then steps and then steps, your eye will blur that movement. Whereas if it steps and then goes away and then comes back over here, your eye sort of snaps to it and stays, and so it appears more sharp to your eyes. It's a bit of a trick, especially because OLEDs do this much better without the headache. And so it feels like like a sort of last hurrah for trying to make LCDs relevant in the world of gaming when OLEDs already exist. They claim that this 360 hertz monitor has 1000 hertz levels of motion clarity, but in practice it has 360 hertz worth of motion clarity and a massive kinetic. Whereas a 500 hertz OLED is infinitely better in actual usage experience, at least in my very biased opinion. I can only see it console refresh. The Hobbit movie at 48 hertz was too fast for me. The human eye can only see 24 FPS. Less blur on new frame change in theory. Yes, exactly. Can someone please pop the AI bubble? I need a few SSDs. Oh, I wish we could. I think it might be starting. Like, all of the share prices are plummeting, which even despite like strong earnings reports and stuff, which is hopefully a good sign. Um, the funniest thing is that I can't remember if this was this week or last week, but Google announced an AI model that can you can give it a text prompt and it will generate a playable world for you to like walk around in basically. So theoretic, like it was being heralded as like the end of games development. Like you just type what you want and Google's thing just makes it for you. Amazing. Except it doesn't create games, it doesn't create playable worlds, it creates pictures you can walk around in, um, which is not a game. Uh, and what's really funny is that a bunch of like game studios, like all of the uh, publicly traded game studios, their stock price plummeted on the day that it was announced, which is so funny because it is so dumb. It is so short-sighted, like you idiots. So yeah, that's fun. But unfortunately, there's just so much money flying around when it comes to AI crap that it's it's getting too big to fail, which is a sentence that I really really hate because if it's too big to fail, it should not be a system that we rely on or exist within. But anyway, um, yeah, Nvidia walking back promises and investments. Yeah, that helps. OLED monitor might be cheaper than 8 gig of RAM soon. Well, there are a whole bunch of fairly budget OLEDs, like for the same price as a decent 1440p 165 hertz display from just a couple of years ago. You can now get a 1440p like 240 hertz, what you call it, QD OLED. Like they got cheap real fast. Like the 500 hertz uh, QD OLED from AOC, that is £550. That was considered a good 1440p high refresh rate display, like a couple years ago, which is just wild. So, yeah, they're not £100 whatever, but for 300 or 350 whatever, that's really not bad. John still won't buy an OLED, way too expensive and way too short-lived. I expect my 3440 by 1440 monitor to last 15 years ish at least, then maybe replace the power caps in 15 more. I mean, fair enough. I understand. I I am less phased by the potentially shorter lifespan, but that perhaps is a quite a privileged position in the fact that I didn't pay for this monitor and can and will get replacement newer better ones also for free. Well, free. Um yeah. On that note, I need advice thinking of trying to change the power caps in my 5.1 speaker system, getting the drone, but my tools and experience are lacking. Um Fair enough. So, when you say you need advice, can you give me a bit more info? Because otherwise, I'll just rant at you for 10 minutes about soldering tools and shit. So, yeah. Uh, is 144 hertz or 165 hertz important now for gaming monitors? When you say important, what do you mean? Um, what I would personally say is that 144 hertz to 165 hertz, 170, that sort of range is now kind of considered like baseline. Like for it to be a gaming monitor, it must be at least that, you know, rather than that's the aspirational level we want to hit, you know. I guess if you're talking about like 4K, yeah, 144, 165 is about where it's at. You can get 240 hertz ones, but I mean, why bother? But for 1440p or especially 1080p, yeah, 144 to 165 hertz is now kind of bottom of the barrel. Like everything is now 240, 360, 500, 540, depending on where you're looking. So yes, it's still important, but it's now a minimum requirement, not a really good thing to have. Although to be clear, it's still perfectly fine. My monitor is 175 hertz, and it's like I'm more than happy to be gaming on this. Just to clarify. Um, Nvidia can do what they like. They're the only profiting business in the cycle. Yes, and Oracle. Yeah. Um, as for tools, let me find mine. It should be in here. I'd say should. Is it? Oh no, it's well, you want some isopropyl alcohol, for cleaning. You don't need a liter bottle. I just use a lot of it for cleaning PCBs. Um, uh, you can get a hot air station if you want, but for just like 2 lead capacitors, that's probably overkill. What I'm looking for is my desoldering pump, because that is. Is there anything left in this now? Quite useful. And it's normally in this little tub here, but stuff gets moved around a lot around here. I don't know where it is. I'm gonna have to give up in a minute, but even a basic desoldering pump like this can do a pretty good job. You just push that down, and then when you're ready, you suck it up. This is like £5. So yeah. Oh. Also, I would recommend Flux. I bought this kit for like £10. Just it helps when you're flowing solder, or when you're trying to remove the capacitor, flow some fresh leaded solder onto the terminals first, which includes the flux in it, before you try and pull them out, and then either pull them out like one pin at a time, or if you can both, or in an ideal world you heat it up, suck the solder off, and then it should basically come out on its own. Although I actually really want to get a proper desoldering pump, like a powered one, but this works fine for like single caps and stuff, you know. Should flux before solder unless it's in the core, and remember isopropyl the leftover after soldering. Yes. So yeah, you put some flux on where you want to solder. Use some extraction or do it outside or something. Flow. You can flow new solder if you want, although if you have flux, you don't need to. Heat your solder up, pop it out, and yeah. And yeah, use isopropyl and throwback Wilco, like cotton buds or whatever, to mop it up. Yeah. As for discharging them, unless it's a poorly designed system, they will self-discharge, but you can also just use a metal, like, bladed screwdriver and just hold on to the plastic handle and just short them. They, like, they don't carry that much power, or that much charge, I should say. Like, it's enough to, if it was still charged, to shock you, but unplug it, leave it for 30 minutes, and that's it. So the total power of the speakers, including the satellites, is 125 watts. Yes, but the capacitors don't hold that charge. The capacitor's charge rating is, you know, eh, it's not like a battery. And also, there is often a path to self discharge for those capacitors when disconnected through resistors. Capacitors are kind of funky. I mean, as an example, as I mentioned last week, I've been messing with this the power supply for my panel light. This has some pretty chunky capacitors. If I stand them up, you can see a bit better. These are, fairly hefty things, and there's a few like class Y capacitors and stuff down here, in the middle. But these are perfectly safe to touch, despite this being plugged in somewhat recently. One, because there is likely paths for them to discharge themselves, and two, because they just generally don't hold their charge long term very well. And yeah, if you're really worried, just take a metal screwdriver that you're holding and just short the tips, the ends like that, and that one before touching. And that is an AC power supply, so that's a 42 watt LED driver board if you're interested. I have been shocked multiple times by the UK's power grid, and uh, no, I'm not going to say that. Does anyone use cotton buds on the outside of their ears? Am I the only nutter to dab the excess dark colored wax? You're not meant to use them in there. I do have a like little ear scraper camera for when it gets horrible in there. Touch the tips, indeed. What do you think about silicon carbon batteries? That's actually not a battery chemistry that I'm super familiar with. I am aware of sodium batteries that are becoming a lot more available and popular, which look pretty cool. Have the obvious benefit of not needing to mine lithium for them, so that's pretty cool. Just come from salt. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Silicon carbon is decent, but you still need sand, and we need a lot of silicon for like chip production. So, yeah. I hear they degrade much faster than lithium. Interesting. Um, I'm struggling to fire up my brain to remember much about battery chemistries besides like, lithium iron phosphate, because that's the one that I built my solar battery from. But yeah, I'm excited for the state of battery tech. Also, one of the interesting things that I had not thought of, that I learned from the Technology Connections video that I keep mentioning for the last like 2 or 3 weeks since it came out, is one of the fun things about batteries is that even if we were to like keep with just the current battery tech, like battery chemistry, the battery like metal compositions. Um, the lithium that's in the battery doesn't go away. All of the lithium that we mined to put in your like EV's battery, whatever, is still in there when the battery is no longer useful in the car. And so you can just take all the batteries out, extract the lithium from those batteries, and make new batteries. The thing that happens with batteries is that they form dendritic structures inside the cells to which limits their limits their surface area. Basically means that they have less capacity to hold the charge, and so they get less useful. But all the lithium is still in there. You can still re-extract it and make new batteries, which is pretty cool, and it's something that I hadn't thought about in that way before. Liquid iron also seems fun for grid size. Well, wasn't there a molten steel reactor in what was it, Russia's submarines? The only which made it ridiculously fast. The only problem was that if you ever let the thing get too cool, it would solidify and be bricked for life. I mean, there's a lot of like heat batteries, like sand batteries are actually remarkably efficient and very easy to do for large scale. There's also CO2 batteries where they pump CO2 into basically a big balloon, tied to the ground. And then when you want to let it out, you basically blow the CO2 back past a fan or whatever, and that regenerates the electricity. Like you go from a compressed state to an uncompressed state, and then that you can balance it and generate power, and it's remarkably efficient. It's just kind of funny that you use CO2, which is the thing we're trying to get rid of. But anyway, yeah, there are a lot of interesting grid scale and like consumer scale battery technologies that are, or like energy storage technologies is probably the more key thing to say there. Becoming available, becoming sort of marketed, which is pretty cool. Stanley potato batteries, that is not the thing. Oh no, the crane battery is genuinely terrible though. That is horrendously inefficient. There was one, it was like a railway on a hill that like you have an electric sort of train that pulls heavy carts up a hill, and then when you want to let them back out, you let the train roll down the hill and regen brake. So yeah, that's fun. I mean, it's all about like cost to build, cost to operate, and efficiency percentage, because a chemical battery is incredibly efficient. Like you get the majority of the energy, like 80 to 90 to closing on 100% of the energy you put in comes back out, every time. Whereas, so pumped hydro is actually kind of an interesting one because it is weirdly both sometimes more efficient, like over 100% efficient because of rain, but also sometimes way less efficient because of evaporation. So that's kind of a fun one for like how much storage, like how much energy have we stored? Well, I don't know. Is it sunny? Well, it's a bit less than we thought. Oh, it's raining. A bit more than we thought. Cool. That's not to say that it's not a good thing. It's just kind of funny. Yeah, in Wales it's always raining, so it's the perfect technology, and it is. That's the UK's, I think, biggest like energy storage solution is a dam in Wales where they pump water up, in the morning, whatever, and let it back out in the evening to balance load. I'm actually planning on adding 2 more 500-ish watt solar panels to my system so that I get a lot more efficiency. I'm building a sort of decking and a sort of and a roof. And I'm going to put 2 solar panels up top there. Hello, Jim. How you doing, man? How's things? Pumped hydros for covering peak usage. Yes, it is. Pump water up when power is cheap, and then when demand is high, let it down. Yeah. Chris, I have a City Plumbing near me, and they have 500-watt panels for £78, including that. Yeah, which is just wild. That I can just like, well, I can go and collect, or I think they can deliver. So yeah. Yeah, 505 watts, 2 of them. The highest one they have is 515 watts, but you're basically just playing with the size at that point. And it's like £5 more per panel, which doesn't really matter, but yeah. I need to buy a second charge controller as well, so I'm intending on getting the Renogy Rover Lite 24 volt pack, because that can do 60 amps, which at 24 volts is a bit over a kilowatt, because my current charge controller is the Renogy whatever 60 amp one, which I'm close to the maximum on a sunny day. So yeah. Farm controls in the UK 20-watt average. So it was really cloudy today. I still managed to generate 305 watt hours. So kind of, yeah, but out of a 1.2 kilowatt array. So at least if I had an extra kilowatt, I would have made 600 watt hours, which is 0.6 of a kilowatt hour, or I don't know, like 15p worth of energy. But it is also like super cloudy February. It's about to be snowing if it isn't already. So the fact that I'm making anything isn't bad. But in summer, I can run everything and fill the battery up, especially with 2 kilowatts or 2.2-ish kilowatts of capacity. So yeah, looking forward to having that available. My decking needs replacing. It's 15 years old and starting to rot. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I am looking forward to building a nice one. I don't get any sun in my back garden. Horrible position. We're pretty much directly south facing, so it's brilliant. How much did your original ones cost? Not that much more, but it was still like £130 per panel for 400 watts, 400 watt panels, and then £110 for delivery. The fuckers. So yeah, these panels being £78 for 105 watts more per panel for the same size is just insane and brilliant. Yeah, pays for itself in the long run. Definitely. I mean, it's not something that I'll be able to sort of leave with the house, as a sort of value add, but I guess I could, but it wouldn't be very well integrated, so I don't know. But it's still pretty handy. And eventually, if we do end up getting the storage unit down the end, I can put my current battery in there, and possibly even the inverter, and build a better, more integrated solution instead. So yeah, food for thought. Crazy busy day and just back from the hospital with my daughter. Well, I hope you and your daughter are all right. Yeah. Tidal would be handy. Can't block it like solar. I mean, wind is also pretty great too. Which is, I think, one of the reasons why the UK is like one of the biggest producers of wind power uh, in the world. Like offshore wind is pretty handy. Um, Although in terms of cost, solar has just come down so much that it's incredible. Um, I think it is now the cheapest form, like cheapest way to build out energy production, which is wonderful to see. Like solar plus grid scale battery storage specifically. So yeah. Also, I don't know why MSI is using IPS monitors on laptops till now. IPS is generally the best out of all of the LCD technologies. Uh, that's quite the sentence-ish. Does wind have that Dunkelflauten thing, like becalmed days at no notice, like for ages? Dino Juice is a dependable classic. Well, it is and it isn't. It's a one-time use fuel. So yeah. Cool mascot for children. Can't power my 5 pot and solar. Well, that's the thing. If your average Joe is using solar for their basic commuting, that leaves more of the dino juice for us enthusiasts to put in our fun boxes, you know? We can't be wasting all the dino juice on people just going from A to B and not caring about how they do it or how quickly they do it. It needs to be in like people like in cars who can appreciate it, who can really value the noise and the weird power curves and the unreliability. Uh Technology connections compared fields used to grow biofuel versus photovoltaic and worked out that solar would work better as a car fuel. It is. Fusion powered cars when? Well, we first need fusion powered like grids. The sooner Renault launched the EV Twingo, the better. Turbo flutter noises, supercharger noises. Um, I mean, mine might like in with the right with the right headwind to blow the sound back into the car. You can hear a very nice supercharger whine in mine in second gear, um, which is great. And you plant your foot when it's at 4,000 RPM and you just go. I mean, hell, you plant your foot at 2,000 RPM and you still just go, and it's not even remapped yet. See, we need everyone to be driving EVs and using solar to charge them so that I can have enough fuel left over to actually remap the damn car. See, if demand goes down, I can afford to put more in. How to add turbo flutter, remove the wastegate. You have a blow-off valve, an external blow-off valve. So most turbos have a wastegate and sometimes have a blow-off valve that returns into the intake path. Whereas if you have an external blow-off valve, that's where you get the. So yeah. You still need the wastegate. It's just, again, if you have an external wastegate, that can help, at least with tuning anyway. But the general noise that you hear when people is from an external atmospheric venting blow-off valve. Map it to overpressure constantly and blow off lots. I mean, you could do that, yeah. You can put a really low PSI spring in your blow off valve and just have it permanently hissing like it's very broken, like you have a boost leak, because you kind of do. Make the turbo work way harder than it needs to. Didn't Luca do the car equivalent of playing carts on wheels with spokes and his new exhaust? He did hear you say that, but kinda, yeah. Guy up my street has a Subaru and I hear it every morning at 6 a.m. It's a lovely alarm clock. I mean, I heard the insurance on those is just utterly ridiculous. Like, or the road tax, sorry, it's like £700 or £800 a year for road tax for like a 2 liter boxer. Like, yikes. Like mine, 3 liter V6 supercharged is £300 a year in tax, and that's kind of a lot. Um, like an old Rexy is just ridiculous. My 1.4 liter Seat is £350 now. Gee, I pay less road tax than you. It's £310 a year. I'd love a new turbo, and to add to that, but the 300 plus horsepower and my front wheel drive 255 wide, 225 wide tire Volvo is already too much for it to handle. Yeah, I run 245 in winter and 255 in summer all round, and I get grip. Yeah, I pay £310 a year for my 3 liter supercharged V6, with 210 grams of CO2. Uh, I have the DVLA plug-in thing for Home Assistant. I thought it told me the CO2 emissions 197. I was at kilograms per mile or so. I can't remember. 197. So yeah. My 1.5 HDI is 195. My son's just bought 2.0 HDI. This is 20. Fuck. Because my Volvo X Please tax cheaper than any Volvo V70 T5. Nice. Okay, Mr. Quattro, no need to show off. Well, if you had Quattro or something similar. My friend's S3 is a money pit of despair, so I can cope with a little road tax in comparison. Fair. I mean, mine has been, touch wood, very, very good to me. I have a little Cambridge oil leak that I want to solve eventually when I do the chains at about 100,000 miles, but I can last until then. Well, soon. Nice. With the Q7, right? Jesus. I am starting to have a headache, so I'm going to call it there. I hope you all have a wonderful week. I hope you all stay safe. I hope you all have fun. And yeah, I'm gonna go and have a camera rammed down my throat on Monday. And hopefully I will be here on Thursday to tell the tale, because it's a 1 in 2,500 chance that I die. So. uh,